For the hand session, I will share you a few files in order to do the setting up, the data, and then one more thing is that I will share you a short video on YouTube, about 30 minutes or so. If you are not well versed with the YouTube, not the YouTube, the Microsoft project, you can just easily go through. It is a very simple simple explanation on how to get started on the Microsoft project anyway. All right. But we are going to start with our session by opening the so-called Microsoft project. Okay. Let me open up my Microsoft project first. Okay, now I'm sharing with you my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it here.
All right. So I will minimize the video here in order not to obstruct the views anyway. Okay, so this is what we call Microsoft project screen. I'm not really sure whether all of you are well versed or not, but anyway, we start with, as if we assume that you have not gone through any Microsoft project in terms of imputing data or not. So we just start from scratch. Okay. When you open up your file, this is the surface of the Microsoft project that you are going to see. Okay. When you open up any Microsoft project, this is a blank page anyway. Okay, blank page. How do you open up the blank page? Okay, you go into File, then you start with a new page. This is what we call new page, and then you click on the blank page. And you notice that here, there are a few templates. If you connect to the internet, Microsoft do basically have a few templates, okay, for you to start doing your scheduling. If you do not know how, basically don't have any idea on how to start in terms of what are the list of tasks and whatnot, you can basically just go into a few of the sample projects. There are some with regard to construction. This is what we call project management, and then a few of the construction. But all the template basically use the template that belong to the US way of doing things. But most of the things are pretty much the same, except that you need to modify a little bit. Okay, that's how you basically get started. Okay, now let's take a look at the views. When you open up any Microsoft project, you are going to see this kind of views. Okay, this column, I call it a spreadsheet column. Okay, spreadsheet column, similar to what we have seen in the Excel. There are a few columns, and then they are being what we call separated by this, what we call line. Here, line is the separator between the spreadsheet and then the Gantt chart. This is the Gantt chart area. Okay, the Gantt chart area is on the right of this splitter here. Whenever you basically input the task name here, for instance, A, then basically it will the Gantt chart will show on the left side of the your views. Okay, now before we go into the small introduction on the interface of the Microsoft project, you notice that on my screen here, I do have what we call the shortcut menu. All the menu are in here. For instance, if you press each of these tasks, resource, report, project, in Microsoft project, they call it ribbon, or simply what we call menu. And when you press resource, for instance, there is a horizontal button here that represents everything about resources. When you click on report, then a few buttons that represent or being grouped together under the report, project, and whatnot. Okay, so we are going to go through some of the basic of the menu that we normally use a lot. Okay, and then when we go through the hands-on session, you are going to press those button anyway. Okay, before we go into this button, and you notice that I mentioned here, if you move your cursor on the most left side of the screen, and then you click on the mouse, and you notice that there are a few selection of so-called items here, and the one being ticked is the one that the one being shown to you, Gantt chart. And then in order to open up this what we call shortcut menu, you use the mouse right click, and then basically you notice that there is a view bar. So you click on the view bar. So basically that thing will appear. You see, Gantt chart. When I click the view bar, the shortcut menu is there. The shortcut menu is very important because once you do things, in order to find something, sometimes you need to click here, there, and whatnot. So it is better to let the view bar appear. Okay, and another thing is that on this side, on the right hand side of at the bottom here, there are a few shortcut menu as well. For instance, this one is basically the Gantt chart, and then task usage, team planner, and basically resource sheet. Let me click on resource sheet. Okay, this is an example of resource sheet that you can just simply click here. And perhaps these are some of the items that we normally will go back and forth. That's why they make it that kind of button there. Okay, and in fact, if you notice here, I mentioned to you, this is the spreadsheet area. And then this is what we call the Gantt chart area. And there are two windows here. This window, and then on the right side of the splitter is basically another window. And in fact, we can open up a third window. How do we open up a third window? Okay, the third window, meaning to say at the bottom here, you will see another window. There is a button here under view, I think. Okay, under view, under menu view. If you click on this detail, okay, this detail, and you notice there is the third window appear. Okay, the first window is for the spreadsheet. Okay, this is a spreadsheet. And then the second one is the Gantt chart area. And then the third one is here. What is this thing is all about? This thing is basically when I press any of the task name or whatever, and then the detail of the task name will be given here. But since I don't have anything yet, so that's why you don't see any values coming up or any information out of this going into this box yet. But once I do have information with regard to duration, start date, and whatnot, then it will appear here. And you notice that there is a empty space here, which basically you can use your mouse. See, mouse meaning to say you right click your mouse, and you notice that you can select other view to be shown on this particular detail here. Let me say I click on schedule. Okay, schedule will appear, but of course now there is nothing being shown yet. If I click on note will be here, and in fact we can input whatever thing using this box. So in Microsoft project, the good thing is that there are many ways that you can input the data. Okay, not necessarily through using this column by column. We can just simply go straight to the task detailing, or we can just simply go straight to the Gantt chart, or basically the PDM diagram in order to input data or information. That is a good thing about Microsoft, the flexibility. But we just simply are going to learn a simple way. For those who basically has been using Microsoft Project, they might have different way of doing things. That's okay, because the flexibility is there anyway. All right, and then the splitter. Okay, this is what we call the splitter. You notice that when you want to view the Gantt chart, the the spreadsheet, and then this particular thing, there is a splitter. And sometimes when you want to go back from the detailing into your Gantt chart, if you click on Gantt chart, it won't basically, some of the view might be blocking. So you might want to remove this the third window here by dragging this splitter back and forth. And if you drag until the bottom of the screen, now basically you already remove the third so-called the third views. So again, for the third views, you click on this menu view here, view, and then there is a box here, detail, in order to open up the so-called the third view here. I call it the third view. So if you want to remove the third view, so just simply unclick the detail, then you come back to the original views. Okay. So sometimes when you are in the detail mode, it will basically disrupt some of your works. So you might basically find difficulty into doing your other input. So you might want to remove the third window. Okay. So Microsoft, the way Microsoft basically show you, there are so many views in Microsoft. Only the default views are being shown. So if you want to go into the detailing, you need to go into specific menu and click on a specific sub menu in order to view the detail. So it is simply, it is not going to being deleted or whatever. All the data is there, except that you need to click on in order to view on something. That's how Microsoft Project work. Otherwise, the screen won't be enough anyway, because everything you want to show, which is not necessary. You only want to show the basic things. Okay, whatever you want to view, you just simply click on the view unless it is being shown as a default view. Okay, now when we want to start Microsoft Project, there are a few first thing first. Okay, what is the first thing first? First thing first, I would advise you to start by setting up the Microsoft Project. How do you set up a few things? Example, okay, you go into File. You notice that in the file at the bottom of the menu there is an option menu. If you click on the option menu, then you notice that there are a few setting up that you need to do. For instance, you can click on all the sub menu here, display, okay, display, and then basically there are a few things that being shown here, okay, being shown here. For instance, you want to to change the unit instead of USD, and then you change to MYR, Malaysian Ringgit. Okay, let's M, where is the M there? Okay, I have problem with my mouse as well here. Okay. All right, let me see here. Where is my mouse? Okay, never mind. So we do some changes here. I will change into different mouse anyway, and schedule and etc. etc. All right, and then after you do the setup, and then you might want to click OK at the end of the day, and then you are good to go. All right. Okay, that will be the setting. Number two, after you set, number two basically, you set your calendar. Where is the calendar? Calendar is basically under changing working time here. This is the setting of the calendar. And you notice that by default, according to the US calendar, Saturday and Sunday is an off day. Okay. So in Malaysia, for instance, you want to change, maybe Saturday is also a working day. And then, in fact, you want to change also the working hours. So basically, you need to change here. Okay, you need to change here, and also you need to change at the setting up. All right. After you change, then basically you click on OK. Okay. And then the third thing, when you want to start your project, basically you click on the project information. You input on start date. When is the project start date? Okay, let's say here the start date is on Sunday, whatever date. So you basically click here, and then you click OK. Okay. So after that, you are good to go. Okay, you are good to go, providing that all the information that you need to input are basically already easily available. When I mention input or data, you can basically have your data ready into the Excel form. For instance, I will stop sharing this file. Okay, I will stop sharing this file. I want to go into a different file. Okay, Excel file, for instance. Okay, this Excel file I will put into your e-learning, whatever. I have input all this file into MKAM Kuala Lumpur class, which I managed to do last night. But I will input into MKXZKL and MKXZKK soon. But now you just simply listen, because you are not going to do hands-on with me because time constraint. Okay, this is the Excel form. Okay, this Excel form, you notice that I do have a task table 1, which basically have column A. Column A indicate task name. Column B, duration, and then predecessor, and then resources. And you know what? In order to input into Microsoft Project, there are not so many columns that you need to do. This is the four columns that you need. That's it. Task name, duration, predecessor, and resources. You notice that resources, I use a square bracket and whatnot. This is an example of how to input into a proper Microsoft format. So what I will do next when we go into our example session here, once I already have all the data, okay, I just simply can use function of copy paste. And in fact, you can also import the Excel into Microsoft Project as well. We are not going to learn about the import, but when you import, normally Microsoft Project will ask you what are the cells that you need to import. You must basically import the right cell, otherwise Microsoft Project won't be able to read. You cannot basically import a predecessor cell and with the duration. Will not be matching the reading into the Microsoft file. Okay. Okay, this is one of the data which I will give you as well. Then resource sheet. Okay, you notice that I go back to the task table. Resource name that I have here is basically the one that I assign into a specific activity here. But when we input into the Microsoft project, we do not input the resource name directly into the column. We are going to input using the resource sheet. This resource sheet, okay, which is similar to Microsoft Project. I already using the similar format. Okay, this is exactly the same as Microsoft Project. Consists of resource name. Resource name here, you notice that all these resource name that I can highlight like yellow here indicate so-called manpower. And then the one that I highlight, let's say, let's see here. Okay, I have problem with my mouse. Okay, anyway. All right, let me use a different color. Let's say blue. Blue is basically machinery. So normally resource consists of namely machinery, manpower, and then material. Here, this is what we call three type of resources. Let's use different color. Okay, that is an example. And in fact, in resource sheet, we can basically input another type of data, what we call cost data. Okay, cost data. All right. So this is what I call you need to prepare for all kind of data ready in order to input into Microsoft project. And then not to forget, the last sheet here in my Excel is the resource quantity. For instance, earthwork. Okay, for instance, earthwork. How much of the earthwork you need, and then what is the unit measurement, and we do have the rate with regard to the unit already. That's okay, but there are some activity. The issue of cost, for instance, we would like to input the cost, okay, into our Microsoft project. So how do we input the cost into our Microsoft project? There are a few ways. If we go back to the resource sheet, you notice that in this standard rate column here is basically for you to input the resources. Okay, for you to input the resources. But there are some resources, notice that it is 0, especially for manpower, for machinery, but then I input into the unit rate, okay, only. Because sometimes people will basically argue, remember, when we talk about unit rate of certain work, unit rate basically consists of man, machine, material, plus the profit. Okay, so you want to show the cost in your Microsoft project because the file might be shared with the client, and normally the client would like to see the tender value similar to what being put into what we call the item inside your Microsoft project in order to be the same, okay, so that they can track the progress. All right, so the issue is that in the BQ you already have the unit rate, okay, that you input during the tender or whatnot. But then how do you split into manpower and then machinery, whereas you might share the machinery into several activity per days? So it is kind of very difficult. Yeah, I know, it is very difficult. So we don't make things complicated. For instance, there are many ways to input the cost anyway. So we can just simply, for instance, what I'm doing here, just leave the cost 0000 for the manpower and also for the machinery. But then we just put the cost for unit rate. Okay, unit rate, which basically we assume inclusive of man, machine, material, and then the profit. Okay, then for the one that have unit rate, it is okay. But what about items such as here, survey and setting out? I do not have the unit rate or the material being put into my resource sheet. Well, I can basically make this thing as a lump sum payment. Okay, lump sum payment, which basically I already know the total cost allocated for survey at certain zone is basically 9,000. I can just simply put fixed cost into the Microsoft project. That will be another way of imputing. And sometimes contractor do not put any quantity specifically. They just simply put into the fixed cost. So at the end of the day, the most important things is you want to generate the S-curve in the Microsoft project. That is what we are going to learn. You might do different thing from what I'm teaching here, but it's okay. This is just example of one way of doing things. Okay, so this is what we call the Excel file or the data that basically you need. Okay, all right, then okay, all right. I am recording this this session as well. Don't worry, I do have the file that I can basically share with you later on. Okay. All right, now let me go back to the Microsoft project. Okay. Okay, before we go into our hands-on session, there are a few more things that I want to tell you. Okay, you notice that here, under tasks, let me click on tasks. Okay, let me get a different mouse because this mouse is not working properly. Just a second. Here, all right. Okay, that'll be better. Okay. Okay, let's go back to this one. Okay, let's go back to this one. And okay, let's go back to the Microsoft project again. Project, share. Okay, you notice that under tasks, okay, see here, tasks. Okay, if you click on the tasks, you notice that the Microsoft project version 2013 onwards, or even until now, Microsoft project has introduced manual scheduling and auto scheduling here. Let me see here. Tasks here. This is this button here. Manual and auto scheduling. Okay. Manual scheduling and auto scheduling. And at the bottom, the left side of the bottom also, you can see manual scheduling here, and then auto scheduling. So what are these manual and auto scheduling? Previously, in the previous version, all are basically auto scheduling. But now, Microsoft Project has introduced so-called auto scheduling. Okay, now I want to show you the differences between the two, auto and then manual. Okay, you notice that I already have one task here. Just simply type A, and when it is the icon here, you notice the icon, the pin icon for task A, it basically indicate manual scheduling. Okay, then let me put another one, B. Okay, okay, B here. Where is B? All right, I just simply enter. Okay, let me see here. Okay, B is there, and you notice that this B and A and B basically have a pin task mode icon there. Those A and B indicate manual scheduling. How do I convert, let's say A into automatic scheduling? Okay, I can just simply go into the task here and then I click on auto scheduling. Okay, you notice that when it is auto scheduling mode, what basically Microsoft Project is asking you, you need to basically follow the format. Then Microsoft Project will ask you about the duration, 1 day, question mark. So when you do this, you need to answer the question, is it 1 day? That is the question that Microsoft Project is asking you. So you just simply say, you do not want 1 day, let's say 2 days. And then you need to click enter. You see, the question mark is gone already. So you need, in planning, in scheduling, we do not want that question mark. Question mark indicate things that is not not yet not yet certain. Okay, and then what happens is that you notice. Okay, let's go into our Gantt chart a little bit here. Here, you notice here. Let me make it bigger. Now our Gantt chart is already drawn for us Monday and Tuesday. Okay, because we are doing scheduling today. Today is Sunday, automatically it is a holiday. So it will be shifted on Monday and Tuesday, which basically 2 days. Okay, so using automatic scheduling, automatically the Microsoft project will require you to input the data according to the specific format. But on the second item here, the manual scheduling. Okay, so the manual scheduling, you don't have to basically input duration or whatnot, but you know what? You can basically type anything. Let me type pending. Okay, duration is pending. And then how about the start date? Wait for the boss. You see, wait for the boss to indicate when we do start. So what is this manual scheduling is all about? Okay, manual scheduling, when you are doing brainstorming in scheduling, where you get a lot of people. Remember when I told you about the process of planning? Planning basically start with WBS and whatnot. And in fact, WBS itself is not one-man show. You need a lot of people or team in order to brainstorm what are the things that you want to put. So sometimes you can discuss on paper or normal whiteboard, but you can basically input the data directly on the Microsoft using the manual scheduling, where you can write things, all the column basically you can write things. You don't need to input according to a specific format. That is a good thing. And then when you, at the end of the day, when you basically confirm that is the value that you want to input. Then you just simply convert into the automatic scheduling and then use the right formatting, mean to say Microsoft project format, in order to input a specific detailing on each of the column. So you are ready to go. That is the differences between automatic scheduling and manual scheduling. You basically can set up at the beginning of the project here in option. Here, this option, where is it? Display, schedule. Here, this is, see, manual scheduling and auto scheduling. You can set up here before you even start a project. And then at the end of the day, you click OK. Automatically, it will be automatic scheduling. But you can also highlight, okay? You can also highlight and then click either automatic or manual scheduling along the way if you do not do the setting up first. Okay, then that will be manual and automatic scheduling. Before we go into the session, because some still there are a few still joining us, that's okay. And then let me show you about the changing working time. Changing working time here. This one. Okay, there are two things that we are going to do with regard to changing working time. Either we are going to create holidays. Okay, that will be one thing. Or we are going to create the working days for the default non-working days. Okay, either one. So how do we create holiday? Okay, let's go into the calendar. You are going to use only this two buttons here, exception and then work week. Exception is basically to create the holiday, whereas the work week is basically to create working days on the default, or even you want to change the working duration for each particular day. So basically we are going to use only these two buttons here. Okay, let's try with the creating the holiday. Let's say on the 1st May, is Labor Day. So you click on that particular date and you notice that the default here, the default working hours is from 8 to 12, that will be in the morning session. And then from 1 to 5, that will be on the afternoon session. So after this, we are going to change. Okay, let's see how we are going to change into that. Okay, now I want to create the holiday, Labor Day on the 1st May. So what you do is that you click on the exception here and then you type Labor Day. Okay, Labor Day. Okay, you type Labor Day here and start date here on this column. And then you see finish date is here. And you notice that here on the 1st day, it already indicate the gray. Gray zone here indicate it is already set as holiday. So then you can click OK. So you already set your holiday. That will be one thing. And then how about if we want to set Saturday as working days? Okay, let's say if you want to do that, then you need to click on work week. On work week, okay, work week, here you are going to start, never mind, you will choose that thing first. Work week, you click on work week and then you notice that there is a detail here. You click on the detail and then you click on Saturday. All right, you click on Saturday and then you can set the time. You can use either the project default time or I just simply click on that thing, okay. And then let me see here, okay. And then basically you click on okay, and perhaps sometimes you need to refresh, okay. Sometimes you need to refresh in order to see the changes that you make. Okay, depend on your computer. Sometimes it will basically show immediately. All right, make changes, no. Okay, So that would be the project. Let me see here. The changing working time. Okay, the changing working time. Okay, so the changing working time button actually. All right. So okay. So now let's go into the hands-on session. Okay, hands-on session. I stop sharing here. Okay. All right. Is everybody okay so far? Huh?
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. But it is not going to be very effective because hands-on session, you know, we need to show on the big screen. That will be better. So it depends. But never mind. Since UTM already changed, already extended the learning calendar. So let's see how. Maybe at the end of the semester we still have time. Maybe we can repeat the hands-on session again, face to face. That will be better. Okay. All right. Now let's go into the Microsoft project again because I want to show you the hands-on session. All right. Okay. Let me share the Microsoft project again. All right. Microsoft project. Okay. Okay, now I want to start a so-called a new project. Okay, so basically I press on the new project, blank project. Okay, so this is a new sheet. Okay, new sheet, very fresh. So how do I start setting up and whatnot until the end of the whole data being completed here. Okay, so we start with this thing first. Okay, go into the setting. Okay, remember, first thing that we need to start, go into the setting option. So basically, file, you click on file and then you click on the option. Okay, there are a few settings that we can basically do. And the setting, I will give in, upload into your e-learning. So you can basically follow step by step exactly the same as what I mentioned here. Okay, first setting. On general, basically you do not change anything. It only have some kind of color, circle, strip. If you want to change also you can. So never mind. I will go into the display, the second setting. And you notice that currently our file name is project 2 because I have not changed into the project. I have not saved into project name, specific name or not. Okay. And you notice that USD. For instance, we do not want this USD to appear. Let's go into, because I have difficulty with my mouse anyway. Okay. If you can change that, you can change into MYR, Malaysian Ringgit, okay? Malaysian Ringgit, MYR, and then this symbol will appear MYR, okay? That will be different. Symbol will be MYR according to Malaysian Ringgit. This is where you basically change, all right? Then for the display, you only basically click on this one. I could not drag my mouse into this one because of difficulties. Never mind. And then for schedule. Okay, for schedule, basically, let's say we want to start our project on, let's choose one date. Okay, let's start on 1st October. Okay, 1st October, let's take a look at the calendar here. Where is the calendar? Where is my calendar? Okay. Calendar. On the 1st October, 1st October will be on Thursday. Let's say I want to start my project on 1st October. 1st October will be on Thursday. So you need to basically change the project duration start week on Thursday as well. Okay, you know what is, I could not use my mouse. That is the issue. Oh my God. Okay, by right, whatever date that you choose should be according to your current date. That is the concept. And then second one, in terms of fiscal year, you also need to basically change according to the year that you are going to do your scheduling. For instance, the month, sorry, if you are going to do that on October, that will be on October. Okay, so the date of the day of the week you must choose, and then also the month, that will be the accurate way of doing things. So that's why on Microsoft they are giving you a choice. This choice does not mean that we start our work on Monday. That is our working week. But in different country, work week could be different. That is not what the Microsoft basically setting mean. This work week indicate when do you want to start your project exactly. If you start your project on Tuesday, then choose Tuesday. If it is on the other day, then choose the exact date. Similarly, on fiscal year, you need basically to click on the right month. Let's say we are going to start our project today. So today will be on April. So you choose April, okay? But unfortunately, I cannot use my mouse. That is the issue. Okay, let me try another way. My mouse. You see, I cannot click on my mouse.
Mr. Rahim, you can use your down arrow and enter.
Down arrow and enter, but I'm afraid that it might be very difficult for many things that we are going to come. Okay, let's say October. See, on Sunday, and then Tuesday. Let me see here. I see it's going to be very difficult. Dia tak berapa jalan lah. Okay. Kalau macam tu memang susah lah. Okay. Dia tak boleh. Down arrow pun tak boleh. Dia macam jam. Okay, never mind. Let me open up again and see how. Maybe the internet connection is the issue or not. Display USD. Tak boleh nak ni lah. I basically cannot drag my even mouse. That is the issue. Okay, so never mind. Okay. So basically, you do the changes, and then another thing is the default time. Okay. If for instance, you start your project at 7 a.m. or whatever, so you do change 7 a.m. and then what time you finish on any particular day. Okay, so you change that thing as well. This is the default time, and then for sure once you change the starting time here, for sure the number of hours will be different, and then hours per week also different, and then days per month also different. Let's say we are working on 6 days per week. So that will be how many days? Might be 26 days. okay, per week or whatever. So you might change that as well. And then another things with regard to decimal and then percentage. Okay, some of you, if you are working with the resource sheet, let me go into resource sheet here. Resource sheet here. Okay, let's input carpenter. Carpenter. Okay, you notice that here. The number that appear here basically 1. So this one basically relate to the setting in the option where basically I put decimal. If you change into percentage, then that percentage will appear. 100% basically refer to one item or one person or whatnot. Why is that percentage being mentioned there as alternative? Okay, let's say I put 50%. 50% of carpenter. What does 50% of carpenter mean? Okay, or in decimal point, it will appear 0.5. So 50% simply refer that the carpenter who, or whatever it is, or even a machine, you basically use half of the working time. Instead of that guy working for 8 hours per day, he might be coming for 4 to 5 hours. That will be 50%. That is the concept, okay? But for me, I would like to enter into decimal because it is much easier compared to using percentage. It might confuse you as well. Okay, now let's go back into the option again. Okay. We already covered on display, so you need to change on the USD, but which I basically cannot do because of the issue of mouse. And then schedule. Okay, now let's go back into here. You notice that here there is a manual scheduling and auto scheduling. So if I choose auto scheduling, okay, I cannot press even using the cursor button here. That is the issue. Okay, anyway, then basically you are ready to go using the auto scheduling. Okay, and then what else? Duration enter. You notice that in Microsoft Project, you can enter using minutes in terms of duration, hours, days, week, and month. Okay, and you can mix and match those duration in one project by using a proper either minute or HR for hours, days, week, and etc. Okay, so you can mix and match into the unit into one project. Not necessarily you just everything you just simply use days, but for not to confuse yourself, you might want to just simply choose one particular unit. Days would be much better. Otherwise, you get confused. And then work enter in hours. Okay, what is basically work? Work is the duration times unit of work. How many unit that you use, time with duration, that is basically equal to work. Okay, and normally the default will be hours. How many work hours? And then another issue: fixed unit, fixed duration, and then fixed work. Okay, fixed unit and fixed duration are basically the same thing, except that instead of using unit, we use work. Remember, work is equivalent to unit time duration in hours. What is the in if you use fixed unit and fixed duration? Normally, people will use either one, fixed unit or fixed duration. Uh, if we go through the session here, I normally will start with the fixed duration. Okay. Fixed duration, normally that we learn in class, we put what we call duration as a fixed value in each of the activity. Let's say piling, 10 days. That's it. Okay. So in fact, in scheduling, there are two ways that you can associate. Okay. There are two ways that you can associate with the by putting this duration here. First, fixed duration. If you input using fixed duration, and then you will figure out what are the required resources that you basically need in order for you to get that the same duration that you basically set. Normally, you come up with the selection of resources, and then you calculate the duration. That would be, you put the duration. But fixed unit simply mean, okay, simply mean you fix the resources first. How many unit of resources that you want to use? For instance, normally crane, if for instance, if we do the scheduling, maybe different month we might require different number of crane. But for logistic purposes, especially you are using tower crane, you just simply cannot have so many crane at the same time. You just simply fix one. So if you fix one tower crane, meaning to say you already fix the resources first, and you let the duration to be varies. To be varies meaning to say it will change accordingly. Okay, if you do that, okay, if you do that, then you might want to tick this box here. Okay, this box you have to tick if you choose the fixed unit. Okay, so you need to choose to tick this box. Why this box you need to tick? Because it is effort driven. Effort driven simply mean that whatever resources that you have, it will automatically will change your duration. For sure, if you have one, let's say you fix one tower crane, and then for one particular activity, it will require 10 days. Let's say suddenly you bring in another tower crane. For sure, your duration of the activity will be reduced to 5. So the computer or Microsoft project will automatically do that. This is what this function is all about. Okay, so you might want to take this one with the right pair is basically fixed unit. But if you choose fixed duration, you please untick this button. That is a proper way of doing things. So sometimes when you tick this button, and then even you put it fixed duration, sometimes when you do you make changes in your resources, and then you notice that your duration that you put initially keep changing. You know why? Because basically due to this button. This is what we call effort driven. And then normally after you change whatever unit here, and depend either it is fixed unit or fixed duration. Let's say if you want to choose fixed duration, which I basically cannot select here due to the mouse problem, whatever. Okay, now what else that you need to click here? Okay, it seems that it is okay for schedule. You just simply change on week start date and January, and then the working hours. Then you might want to stick on decimal, and you might want to change into auto scheduling, and then you might want to tick on the fixed duration, and then basically you finish on setting up on schedule. Okay, next on saving, proving you don't have to do anything. On save here, save button here. Okay, I normally when I do the hands-on project, I would like to tick on auto save whatever minutes, and then prompt before saving, because while you are doing things, you might want the computer to ask you first before you save, because sometimes you might be doing some changes yet, not ready to be saved, and then you can just simply cancel and then do a proper saving. And in case you are running out of the electricity or whatever, so your work is basically being saved. Okay, then advanced. Okay, advanced. Okay, on advanced, I normally leave everything as it is except on the last part here. Okay, the last part here, calculation option for this project, I normally will take here, 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 and then here. I will take everything. Okay, and then on the last menu here on the Trust Center. Okay, on the Trust Center, I will click on the Trust Center setting here, and then I will go into legacy format here, and then the last button here, allow loading file with legacy or non-default file. Okay, after doing that, I will basically click OK. First time, okay, let me click OK. Okay, 2 times OK. Then basically you are ready to go. Okay, you are ready to go. All right, but unfortunately I could not get my mouse right to change some of the things. Okay, so never mind. Okay, let's go into inputting the data. Okay, inputting the data. Okay, so before we go into that, okay, let's just input a very simple thing first. B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so this is what we call automatic scheduling. And you notice that when I choose automatic scheduling, and then automatically the Microsoft will ask according to the default duration. Start date is automatically based on today's date, and then finish date is also automatically will be generated based on the duration that I basically choose. Okay. Okay, and then we need to answer this question. Is it 1 day for activity A? So you need basically to click on 1 day. Okay, let me see here. And click enter. Okay, 2 days, click enter. Another 1, 2 days. And in fact, you can do multiple things if you like. Okay, I just simply do one by one. Okay, so you notice that the date are being automatically generated, and here the bar chart is being shown. Here the bar chart is being shown as 2 days. Okay, Monday and Tuesday, but we have not entered the predecessor yet. So remember the one I told you, in order to create scheduling, it is not that difficult. First thing first, you get your task name right, and then duration, and then predecessor, and then resources. Resources is optional, but for learning purposes, we are going to input some resources. Okay, and then not to forget about another thing. Remember WBS, we mentioned about WBS. Okay, now I just want to open up one column for WBS. You can insert a column here, insert column, this column. Okay, let me see here. Insert, okay, insert, wait a second here. This is the issue with the mouse. Issue with the mouse. Okay. Insert column, W, W. Okay, W is basically WBS. Okay, you notice that the WBS column is there. So basically, there are a lot of columns that you can insert in Microsoft Project, except that it is being hide or not everything being shown. Okay, you notice that there are so many columns that you can even insert in order to, otherwise you insert many columns, then your screen won't be able to capture, or you won't be able to see everything. Okay, now you notice that the WBS is just one straight line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is not the right WBS or that we have learned before. Let's say, okay, let's say I want to do the grouping according to the right WBS. I insert a task, okay. I insert task here using, okay, here I insert task. Okay, so insert task meaning to say I just want to add what we call new name, let's say phase 1. Okay, let me see here. Just not right way of doing things here due to mouse issue. Okay. Okay, phase 1. All right, phase 1. And then phase 1, basically I want to group A, B, C into phase 1, and then D, E, F into another phase. Okay, let's insert another task here. Okay. Phase 2. Okay, now there are 2 phases. Let's say I want to do grouping A, B, C as belong to phase 1, and then D, E, F as belong to another phase 2. Okay, what I can simply do is basically phase 1 and phase 2 is not an activity. So we do not input duration for that activity. Okay, we just want to do, in Microsoft project, we call it organize, or in proper planning, we call it WBS. And you notice that WBS will, okay, so what we do, we can do basically, I want to just simply highlight the usage of this button here. This button indicates indent and outdent. This is for us to organize our project into a proper WBS. If I click, first thing first, I need to highlight all the activity that belong to phase 1, for instance. So I highlight ABC, and then I click indent, okay? And you notice that our WBS is already grouping as 1.1 belong to phase 1. And you know, there is a one icon there, small icon there. Okay, you notice there is one small icon there, which basically you can click in order to collapse or expand the sub activity. Okay, and then for DEF, okay, let me choose a second here. Okay. Oh, there is a problem with the mouse. Okay, so I already organized A, B, C into a phase 1, and then let me choose the rest of activity. No. Okay, the rest of activity. Okay. All right. Then I will organize. See, this is the way to basically organize or put them into a proper WBS kind of things. See, you notice that the phase 1 and phase 2 has been highlighted as bold, and then in our Gantt chart here, see here, Gantt chart, you notice there is a black bar there. This black bar indicate the summary task. Okay, summary task is the name of the item that a few sub activity belong to them. Okay. All right. So for Microsoft project, first thing first, you need to input the task name as I just give you example ABC whatever or proper name. But then the second step is basically you need to organize. You don't have to open up the WBS column anyway, but just to show you. Then you input the duration. Activity start and finish will be automatically generated for you. If you want, you can change to different date anyway. Then the issue of predecessor. Okay, now let's go into the predecessor. Okay, predecessor is the activity, the connecting activity prior to that activity. For instance, A, what is the activity before A is basically none. What is activity before B is basically A, and so forth. Okay, let's assume all of our activity basically have relationship of finish to start. Okay, let's try ABC. And you know what? There are so many ways to connect the activity if it is finish to start, or even using a different type of relationship. Just by using this button. You notice that there is a button here, link, and then unlink. I'll try to use this link button. You notice that? Our predecessor is now being linked together. What is this numbering is all about? 2, 3. This numbering basically relate to, on the left side of the column here, there is a numbering 1, 2, 3 that belong to each of the row. Basically refer to the row, or basically ID number for each activity. And that ID number is the one that Microsoft Project can read. Microsoft Project do not recognize the activity by the name of the activity. Let's say activity A, B, C. No. If you want to link with the predecessor, you must find what basically A, B, C being referred to this numbering. Okay, for instance, for B, what is the predecessor of B? Is basically A. A in this in this row refer to number 2. So that's why number 2 is being shown here. And then basically for C, the predecessor is B. B is basically 3. That is how you relate. Okay. And you notice that in our Microsoft project, it basically show in the right finish to start relationship. Okay. And for activity C, you notice that it is longer. It is longer mean because it encroach into the weekend. So the weekend is a holiday, whereas our activity is only 2 days. So the bar will be longer, but in terms of the real work it's the same, it's 2 days. Okay. All right. Then that will be one way of putting the relationship. If it is finished to start, it is very easy. You just simply click on link, or you want to delete the link, you can basically unlink. See, you notice, or you can just simply highlight this thing and then click delete, right? Click delete on your keyboard, so that thing will be clear. And then second way of inputting the data, instead of using the link button, which is sometimes you might having difficulties in terms of multiple activity that you want to link, you can just simply, once you have the data ready, you just simply input one using the right ID 2 and then 3. Enter, and you see the same predecessor appear on your Gantt chart as well. All right. Now we just simply delete this thing in order to show you some other thing. Okay, that will be the second way of inputting the data. First is by using the link button, and then second is manually using the ID numbering there. And then the third one, okay, the third one, you notice that here, if you drag your mouse from one activity to another one, see, you also link the activity. Drag here. Now you are using the bar chart, but sometimes bar chart, because it is too small, it is quite difficult. Sometimes you might drag the activity into a different date instead of trying to link them into another activity. But if you make it the Gantt chart appear bigger, then perhaps basically you can see those things better, and then you drag onto the right activity anyway. Okay, so that will be the third way of connecting the activities. And then I want to show you the fourth way. Okay, the fourth way. Okay, let's click on network diagram. Here, there is a network diagram. You notice that all the activity that we have input into our spreadsheet column there basically appear here. A, B, C, and then D, E, F. Okay, D, E, F. And in fact, you can even start your Microsoft project using the network diagram views instead of Gantt chart views. Okay, so how do you do that? Okay, for instance, I already have D, E, F. I just want to connect C, for instance, C into E into D, and then D, okay, D into E, and then E into F. Okay, sorry. Let me delete this thing. All right, D into F. Okay, now you already connected those things, and let's go back to Gantt chart. And you see, all those diagrams are basically connected because I already using the mouse button, whatever, click and drag using this network diagram. And in fact, you can even start your new activity using this kind of view. Let me create another activity. You just need to use your mouse here. Click on the mouse and drag the box and release. So what is this thing is all about? This is basically a new activity. If I go to Gantt chart, you notice that there is new activity being created. It might appear anywhere on the row, but you can simply move the row into a proper sequence. Doesn't matter, but the activity is there. So the activity is not being shown. It is not being named yet, even the days and whatnot. But let's go back to network diagram. We can even double click on this diagram. I see. When you double click, the task information that belong to activity, everything that belong activity in terms of general information, predecessor, resources, advanced, notes, custom field, whatever thing is being shown here that belong to activity. So now you can create FG. Let's say this activity is G, and then you can change different different duration. Let's say 2 days, and then you click OK. But it is not connected yet. I can just simply click my mouse again and then connect to those things. And you notice that we go back to the Gantt chart. Now it is being connected already. Okay, it is being connected already. That is basically 4 ways of connecting your predecessor. If it is finished to start, is basically easy. But even using different type of relationship. Okay, let's start with this. Let's go back to A and B. Let's say Between A and B, you notice that there is a, let's go into B and C. It is a bigger arrow there. If you click on the arrow here, double click. Okay, that is the issue with my mouse. Okay, now, okay, if I double click on the arrow, remember in PDM diagram or AON diagram, the arrow simply indicate relationship. Okay, you see, task dependency. Dependency meaning to say relationship. Now, it is in the mode of finish to start relationship. Okay, I can even change to different type of relationship between B and C. Let's say start to start. I change start to start, and even I can input different lag, +1, or even lead -1. Okay, but let's assume there is no lag, and then okay, let's even show the lead. Okay, all right, now let's click OK. What would happen to the relationship ABC? On the network diagram, it doesn't show the exact drawing. This is the issue with the Microsoft project. Maybe maybe the next version, they will change accordingly. Unlike the Primavera. Primavera basically, once you change into different relationship, it can show you the exact drawing of relationship. So that is a good feature of Microsoft Primavera. They have a better features on many things because due to the cost of the software anyway. But let's take a look at the Gantt chart. Remember, between A and B, okay, sorry, B and C, okay, B and C, I use start to start relationship. And then I use a lead because it is only 2 days. Now activity C is being lead. The starting of activity C is being lead by 1 day ahead of activity B. You see, now on the Gantt chart, and then even on the predecessor here, it is being shown the right way of type of relationship. Only in the PDM diagram, it is not being drawn. But if you go back to network diagram, if you double click this relationship again, it shows the right relationship, start to start, and even lead. The meaning to say there is nothing wrong with the input, except that the drawing is not being shown on the PDM diagram. That is the concept that we do have on this version. Maybe in the next version ahead of years, maybe they will come up with the right drawing. Okay, all right, that is the concept of predecessor. Well, now let's assume that I do not want to change the type of predecessor using the same finish to start. If you just simply have 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, so automatically we assume that it is a finish to start relationship. Okay. Okay, now I want to go into the last column here, resources. Here, resources. Okay, resources. How do we input resources? Okay, remember, we do not input resources automatically on this column here, but we are going to input onto the resource sheet. Okay, now you can scroll on the resource sheet here, the so-called button here, or you can go to the resource menu and click on the resource sheet, or you can go into this one. Where is it? Here. This one is better because it is there. This is the empty. This is the empty resource sheet. Okay, the empty resource sheet, which basically I already input something. Okay, let's input another one. Normally, I will input a list of manpower first. Carpenter, let's say engineer, supervisor, even project manager, and then we put it bar bender, and then what else? Concreter, all the list of trade workers. Okay, trade workers, professional worker, whatever, as long as they are manpower. Okay, you can input. And you notice that the initial are being auto-generated, which basically you can change. For carpenter, it's basically C. So you might have a recurring initial, but you can change, let's say carpenter, CAR, whatever. Okay. And the rate, okay, I will tell you about the rate later on. Let's input list of machinery. Let's start with a bulldozer, crane, excavator, and then what else? Lorry. Okay, so that's how you basically input list of machinery. And then the spacing that I put here is basically no need to put spacing. I just want to indicate these are the list of manpower, list of machinery. You can input everything, or you can, in fact, when you want to open up any Microsoft project, you can just basically copy and paste all the resources that you already built up in terms of the library into this resource sheet, and then you just simply save as without even inputting anything else, because you can always copy and paste into different file if you want to use. You can input as many as you want, but it will only appear on your resource name Gantt chart there once you assign. We have not assigned anything yet. We just want to build a library or list of resources. Okay, next. Let me input material. Okay, material. Let's say in terms of rebar, in terms of earthwork, and then in terms of concrete, the real material, in terms of formwork. Okay, so this list of work, this list of material you can get from the BQ. Okay, you can group them as a big item, or you can just simply split them. Okay, so it depends on how much detail that you want to input into your Microsoft project. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. But if it is for material, you notice that on the second column here, the type column, here you can change either work or material. Okay, if it is for material, you need to change the unit into material. But for manpower and then for machinery, it remain as work. Okay, this one is also material, and then this one is also material, and then this one is also material. Okay, and in terms of material here, the second, the third column here, we normally are going to use to put the unit. Rebar would be in ton. Okay, earthwork would be in cubic meter. Concrete would be in well, what is that? Okay. Okay. Little bit slow in response here. Okay. What happened? Okay. Okay, wait a second. The internet connection is very slow. Okay. How about concrete is cubic meter as well? All right. Just not being shown here. A second. And then from work, you can use the unit of meter square, okay, and etc. etc. All right, that is an example. So once you input that unit or show that unit, then basically in your in whatever costing at later on, you will know that this rate is basically belong to whatever unit, the right unit. Okay, then okay, wait a second, I do have, all right, now it is back to, okay, so that is how basically you input your material, and you can put as many as listing of material. And then I want to show you the fourth input of data into your research sheet that you can input in term of cost. Let's say testing, traveling, subcon, let's say subcon A, subcon B, okay, subcon B, and etc. Cleaning, and then there are so many items that you can input in term of another unit here. You notice that in this unit, we already use the work, material, and now cost. This is what we call the item for cost. Okay, the item for cost. You can basically drag and to make it quick, but never mind. We just simply do one by one. Okay, so these are the cost element that you can input. But the cost element, you notice that there is a standard rate here. You do not input the cost into this sheet. I will show you later on where do you input the cost element. But now, you notice that the standard rate is basically still empty. Still empty. Maybe I will input on the unit rate, as I mentioned to you. If you input the rate for carpenter and then machine separately, at the end of the day, it is very difficult because it might not basically tally with your tender value or contract value. So contractor normally show the cost in order to be tally with the progress payment or whatever. So the cost should be equivalent to whatever being mentioned in the BQ or contract document. So whereas the contract document do not split into machinery, manpower, and material. Okay, so that's why in Malaysia I found it very difficult if you split those things into different what we call manpower, machinery. People in the United States, for instance, they basically use a lot of hourly rate. Their wage, their salary, everything being tied up with the hourly rate. So it is easier for them once they input the hourly rate. At the end of the day, they will get the payment. But the way our payment system is quite different. So that is the issue. So never mind. Let's say we input, I just want to input, give example of riba. Okay, like riba, let's say, I'm not really sure the cost now, 3,000. Okay, 3,000 ton. And because I have not changed the denomination of the dollar sign, you see, the dollar sign is being shown there. But right, I should have changed to RM, but because I couldn't change, my mouse is having problem here. Okay, how about earthwork? Let's say earthwork is, I'm not really sure, let's say 30 ringgit. 30 ringgit per cubic meter. Concrete would be 400 per cubic meter, and then formwork, let's say 20. Let's say 20. Okay, so now we do have some kind of values into our unit rate. So what does unit rate mean? Unit rate mean the cost for material, machinery, and then manpower plus the profit. You can just simply use whatever found in the BQ and then put into your listing here. Okay, for the cost element here, testing, traveling, subcontractor, I do not put it here. Okay, now we are ready to go. Let's say this is the resource sheet. Now let's go back to our Gantt chart. Okay, all right, this is our Gantt chart. You notice that under resource name, now all the activity are still empty, doesn't have anything. See? Because remember the resource sheet is just simply the library. The library where the list of information with regard to resources, all the resources that you intend to use, you just simply put there. And as long as you do not link them, it doesn't matter. It will not be shown or being calculated accordingly because you do not attach the resources yet. Okay, now let's go into each of the, how do you attach resources? A, for instance, if you click at this particular down arrow here, you notice that all the listing of resources that I already input is being shown here. You just simply click, and then it will appear there. But the issue sometimes you wanted to modify in terms of unit of resources. So there is a proper way to input. Okay, let me show you how to input the resources. Okay, first thing first, you select the resources that you want to assign resource. Let's say you want to start with A, and then go to the resource menu here. See, under the resource menu, there is a button here, assign resource. Okay, let me see, because it doesn't assign resource. I see, my mouse is not there. That is the issue. Oh gosh. Okay, assign resource. But by right, it's already there. It is not being shown yet. Okay, it will take some time. Okay. Where is that box there? Okay, the box will appear on assign resource. Okay, let's start again. Okay, I already clicked there, but it does not appear yet. Okay, never mind. If it is not there, then we can use different method. Double click. Okay. Okay, double click on the item there. All right. If you double click instead of assign resource, which is faster, assign resource, it's not appear yet. Never mind. You notice that resource is here. Okay, resource is here, and you can assign resource by clicking. For instance, for activity A, let's go for bulldozer. Maybe it is a site clearing activity or whatnot. Okay, site clearing activity, and then the unit. How many bulldozer that you want to basically assign? One. Okay. How much is the cost? Cost doesn't appear here because I do not link or create any or put any cost with regard to bulldozer. Okay, that is the issue. Okay, now let's assume another type of resources being used for activity A is bulldozer, and then let's assume that we assign this activity to subcon A. So it will take some time. It's a bit slow here. Okay, bulldozer. Okay. All right. Sorry for the internet connection. All right. You see on the bar, the taskbar here is already shown bulldozer and subcon, but it is not shown here yet. That is the issue with the internet. Okay, now it appears. And you notice that, okay, let me click on this thing again. If I manage to, okay, a little bit slow. Bulldozer and subcon, okay, bulldozer and subcon is there already. This is how we assign. I try to open up assign window there, but it's not going to open up soon because of difficulties there. Okay, let me click this one again. Okay, you notice that bulldozer is a cost basically 0 because I do not assign any machine cost. If I do assign machine cost, and then based on whatever duration of the activity, it will calculate automatically for me. But how about subcon? Okay, I mentioned to you that subcon is the unit cost. So when it is cost being asked here, we can basically input the cost. Let's say that activity costs us 10,000. All right, that is how you basically put directly on the cost unit, okay, based on the resource sheet, and then you click OK. Okay, and you click OK. Make it this one is bigger. Okay, if I make it bigger column, then you can see the cost element is being shown here. Let me delete or hide on column WBS, which I do not use. Hiding a column do not mean you delete a column. You simply hide, and you can just simply insert that column again and again, and then all the information is there. Okay, don't be afraid to hide a column or whatnot because Microsoft won't delete that thing for you. Okay, now you see bulldozer, and that bulldozer is being I show as a list of the machine. We can basically attach so many things. For instance, workers and etc., or engineer or supervisor. Once we show that resources appear, we just basically want to show people that the authority or people who are in charge of those activity basically are listed there. How about the cost? The cost basically, we are using subcontractor. So the subcontractor cost is 10,000. So everything will be paid according to subcontractor works. Okay. So there is a differences between attaching cost and then just simply show the list of machinery or even people in order to show that the work basically is under their responsibility. Okay, that is the concept. So don't be afraid of showing the list of resources that you want to attach to certain activity. As long as you do not want to link those with specific cost, that should be okay. Okay, now let's try again. I cannot open up this sign resource. Okay, never mind. Okay, for activity B, let's double click on the resource. Okay, let's try activity B. Maybe activity B is excavation work. When it is excavation, I need an excavator. See, I need excavator. And then you can change the unit, how many unit that you want. Let's say 2 unit. See, 2 unit will appear there. And second resources, maybe this is the earthwork. Now you need to change the unit of earthwork. how much of the unit. Let's say in this situation, let's say 1,000 cubic meter. So because I already indicate the unit as a M3 is cubic meter. So now it appear M3. Okay. And how about the cost of earthwork? Okay, the cost of earthwork. Let me click on this thing first because it's still a little bit late in order to show everything there. That is the issue with the using online teaching. Okay, okay. Don't mind. All right. Okay. Okay. It's a bit slow in terms of connection there. Okay. Hmm.
Can we go for like what 5-10 minutes break, Rahim?
Yeah, yeah, sure. All right, right.
I will come back in 10 minutes time.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Take about 10-minute break, please.
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks, Rahim.
Okay.
Hello, Encik Rahim.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, please.
Encik Rahim, in the resource sheet,
Yeah.
okay, I noticed the value of my like carpenter, engineer, supervisor still shows in percentage rather than numbers like what shown in your screen. How do I change that from
Okay,
percentage
okay.
to?
So you can go to file. Okay. You can go to file and then click on the last menu at the bottom there, option.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, option. And on the display, not on the display, on the schedule, project schedule menu,
Mm-hmm.
you notice that the show assignment unit. Show assignment unit as yours is percentage, isn't it?
Yeah, placement percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, change that to decimal. Change that to decimal
Schedule.
and then click OK.
Oh, all right. Okay.
All right. So it should show the right thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
All right then.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Where is this thing? Scary.
Hello, Encik Rahim.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Another thing is on the resources name. How did you include the cost on subcon A? 10,000. I missed out.
Okay, let me. How do I include?
Yeah, the cost for subcon A.
Okay, for the resource sheet, I just list out all the so-called item under the category of cost as a lump sum cost. Okay,
Okay.
but I do not input any cost on the resource sheet standard rate. That is not the way that you put it there. No, you only will input the right amount of money into your your Gantt chart. You can go back to your Gantt chart. When you input the resource name, let's say you double click on the resource name, and then you see, you click on whatever resource. Let's say on the third activity, I just want to use subcon B. Okay, I select subcon B for activity number C. Okay, then I click, okay, under there, it's a little bit slow here, but you notice that there is a cost column here, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So you must put the cost inside that column.
Okay.
Okay, let's say for 100,000, and then you click on OK. Then it will appear. And you notice that on activity B, my activity B there, you see on my activity B, for earthwork, I change the unit as 1,000 because earthwork in my resource sheet, I put 30 ringgit, and automatically Microsoft Project will calculate that thing for you. So you don't have to input the cost, because for earthwork, it is not based on the unit of cost. It's just simply based on the unit of material.
Okay.
All right.
Understood. Thank you, Rahim.
Okay. Okay, let's stop. Okay, are we good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Let's go back to item B here. Let me double click on the detail resource. And you notice that I already input excavator as example of machine. And then let's say the item basically earthwork. You remember the earthwork, I attach unit rate as 30 ringgit when I put the unit as 1,000. So 30 ringgit times 1,000, there will be 30,000 as the cost being calculated by Microsoft Project automatically. That is what we want actually. All right, that will be for item B. Let's say for item C. For item C, I input subcon B. When subcon is being input, remember in the resource sheet, there is an element of cost item that I input, but the cost is not being shown, or you do not input the cost in the resource sheet here. No, you do not put here. That is not the way you input. Okay, here is you just simply input unit rate. But for the cost that we mentioned here is the lump sum cost. Okay, so you input the lump sum, the lump sum cost here exactly. Okay, let's say for item C, let's say subcon B will do the work, and the cost is the one that we input directly, 100,000. And then let's say subcon for item C, it could be let's say form work. Let's say form work. Let's say form work as a material. Okay, form work material, and it depends. Form work at the same time, I already have the element of cost with that thing. Okay, so I can basically let's input form work as 1,000. Let's see how. Okay, so the code will be calculated here, but it is a little bit slow. Never mind. Okay, so on top of this cost, that could be the material cost, and then the subcon cost. It will add up all together. That is example. But if you already have the subcontractor, the work of the subcontractor, the amount of work will be paid, everything, including the form work, material, whatever. So you don't need to input the cost for the form work. All right, that is just example. All right, so that will be the resource name. And then for the rest of the item there, okay, for the rest of the item there, you can input according to what are the things that you want. Okay, for instance, let's say on concrete work, and then input the concrete as 100 cubic meter, and then the cost will be calculated. And then let's say the item of E, you can put the resources here. Let's say resources could be engineer, and then at the same time we need a supervisor, and then what else? Let's say the work of rebar, okay, and then what else? Carpenter, bar bender, and of course the unit should be changed according to whatever unit that we want. Okay, and you notice that when I input different unit, and on this column here, I indicator, they appear a red icon here, red icon. What does red icon simply mean? Okay, if we do have a real face-to-face, I will show you detail later on, but now we do have a lot of constraint. Okay, now go back to resource sheet. You notice that there is a red icon in bar bender and then excavator. What does red mean? You notice that in the maximum setting of bar bender, I just simply put 1. Whereas in the real Gantt chart, I mentioned we need 5 bar bender. Okay, so that's why there is a resource conflict where you only limit to one, whereas you in real situation you need 5. So basically you can add more resources here, 5, and you notice that the bar bender, the red icon man basically disappear. That will be one way of doing things. But in Microsoft project, actually they will give you a lot of indicator, red man, whatever things, just simply to let you know that you are lack of resources, what you want to do with that thing. Even if you put your maximum value on different value, then again, maybe at certain scenario where you have overlapping scheduling, the bar chart, you might require more resources than what you allocate for. That is the scenario where you basically need to either increase the resources or you need to do some kind of rescheduling. Rescheduling meaning to say you need to push certain activity forward a little bit in order not to put a strain on your resources. So that will be the indicator, which is good. At least we do have that indicator, and it is up to the scheduler on how you want to basically manage your resources. Okay, similarly, for excavator, I indicate in my scheduling I need 2 excavator, but now I only have 1. So if I change into 2 excavator, then basically the resource conflict basically disappear. Okay, so you can do that thing for the rest of the resources. Then only you will notice that the resource name will appear on your bar chart. And if it's too messy, you can basically hide the resource name on your bar chart. Okay, just simply hide as not to mess up the whole things. Okay. Okay, now once you already input your resource name, whatever, so your scheduling is almost complete. Okay, your scheduling is almost complete, except that we have not shown the what we call the whole cost yet. Okay, now let's complete the whole cost table. Okay, so for Microsoft, there is a shortcut button here. There is, if you move your cursor to this particular small box here, and then you right click, so there is a selection of element or menu here. One is being ticked here, indicate entry. Okay, entry meaning to say you are in this mode. Let's go to the cost table. Actually, there are more tables that you can basically look at, but Microsoft, as I mentioned, it only show you some of the default table. The default table is on entry. If you want to go to the cost table, then you need to click the cost. You see, since we already link our cost to either some of the work or to the subcontractor, now we notice that the cost is about 160,000 ringgit. Okay, and you notice that there are items which basically doesn't have the cost yet, item F and item G. So now I want to show you, instead of linking the cost with the unit rate and whatnot, we can also complete the cost using the fixed cost column here. So let's say for item F, I can just simply, fixed cost here. I can just simply put whatever the value that I want, let's say 10,000 for item F, and then for item G, 5,000. Okay, so you see, now I already have all the costs related to all the works. Okay, you notice that the row basically start from 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't show the total cost yet. So the cost that I mentioned, 160, belong to phase 1. And then for phase 2, basically the total cost is 58. How about the total, the whole cost of the project? Well, we can show that thing by clicking into our menu here. Let's go into project. Okay. Let's go into a task. Okay, so it's a bit slow here. Task, project, report. Okay, go into view and then format. Okay, if you click under format, okay, now the issue is that we do not know the total cost yet. Okay, the total cost for the project, it is being hide somewhere, but I just want to row number 0 to appear. Okay, let's click on format, and you notice that there is a box here, outline, number, project summary task. If you click on project summary task, okay, click on project summary task. All right. Okay, later on, there is a row number 0 will appear. Okay, it's a bit slow. Okay.
Yeah, Encik Rahim, the total
Yeah.
cost appeared.
Huh?
The total cost appeared 218,000.
Yeah, but mine is not appear yet because it is slow. Okay. Now it appear. Okay, see, 0 column. What does not 0 column, 0 row? What does 0 row mean? Sometimes people try to insert one more row in order to show the overall project, but you don't have to, because Microsoft already built in 0 row that indicate the overall project. In terms of the name of the project is there, because I'm not changed into whatever specific name yet. And then this is the total cost. See, 218. This is the overall project. So if we go back to our entry, I click on entry. You see, the whole project is 14 days. Okay, so 14 days is being shown there. This is the overall. So row 0 indicate the overall. Where do you get that thing? Is you can click on format, and then you see project summary task. You click there. All right. Okay. Then, so we already input overall project cost. Okay. Now I want to show you a few other things. Okay. Before we go into the S curve. Okay, you can click on this small box here. You notice that there is more item to be choose here. Let's choose schedule. Okay, schedule table. So the schedule table, you notice that there is a column name, task, start, finish. What does start mean? Start mean early start date. Finish mean early finish date. So this is what we call ES, early start, early finish, late start date, and late finish date. So unfortunately, Microsoft Project scheduling is basically using the date. The one that we learn in class for simplicity purposes, we just simply use numbering. Okay, we use numbering. And then free slack. What does free slack mean? Free slack means free float. And then total slack means total float. Okay, free float and then total float. But they use the wording of slack instead of float. And Microsoft Project Primavera also use the same terminology. So if you want to know what is the free float and the total float, so you basically go to this schedule listing. So whatever that we learn in our class is using manual scheduling. You can basically later on input into Microsoft Project and see whether you are getting the right answer or not. All right, then also on the summary, let's click on the summary. Summary would be on the duration, the start date, percent completion, cost. We have not gone into that thing yet. And then also on the tracking. Okay, tracking, we have not gone into the tracking yet. Okay, we might not have time for that yet today. And then even variant and whatnot. Okay, now let's go back into our entry. Okay, so if we go into our network diagram, let's click on our network diagram. You notice that all of the activity box here are indicated as red. Red indicate critical activity and critical path. And we only have one path in our diagram. So every activity are being shown here as critical, red color. If you do the different type of diagram which basically have many branches or paths, then you will see there are red color activity and the blue color activity, which indicate critical and non-critical activity. All right. For the Gantt chart, you can also show view format on critical tasks. Okay, see, if I click on I click on the critical here, on the format on critical task there, and then you notice that here, because it's quite slow here. Where is it? You see, all the activity are being shown as red. Okay, being shown as a red. Okay, so normally if you have the so-called resource name on the Gantt chart, normally the critical path will not be shown because it is quite messy. If you hide those things, and then at the end of the day, you can see which are the critical and non-critical activities. So basically just a matter of showing, clicking here and whatnot. All right. Okay. And you notice that under tasks, okay, we have not gone into project tracking yet, okay, because it is quite difficult to show here now. I just show you very basic. We can't even go into the example session that I have using the Excel data because I cannot click, my mouse cannot click on certain things, so it is quite difficult. Never mind, we might have rescheduled our class face-to-face later on so that we can show the exact hands-on. Okay, never mind. And then let's go into report. Actually, there are a few report that you can click here in terms of project overview, cost overview, and whatnot. And let's try to go into visual report. If I can click those visual report. Okay, this is how you generate your S-curve. Click on the cash flow. Okay, click on the cash flow if you want to get the S-curve for the project that we just did, because we already have all the costs being input there. And then on the what we call report level, we might want to choose days because our project is very short. If you choose week, also can, but because of it is only within the week, you might not see the whole curve. So it depends. Sometimes you might want to click into the lowest unit in order to show all the values. And then click on view. I'm not really sure whether you can, let me see here. Okay, when you click on cash flow, all right. Okay, can you see the curve here? The cash flow report here?
No.
No.
Huh?
No.
Oh, you cannot see. Okay, okay, because it is okay, I stop share and then I need to share on that curve because it appear here. Because it appear on the Excel, because Microsoft project will generate here. Can you see the cash flow report?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
when you on the Microsoft project, when you click on visual report and then you click on the cash flow and then you click on the daily instead of weekly. So this type of graph will appear. It looks very funny. Well, never mind. Actually, you need to expand the value for this graph, which is hiding here. Okay, under this graph, there is a chart 1 at the bottom of the screen, chart 1 and task usage. Okay, if you click on task usage, okay, you see, the value will start to appear, all the value for your chart. Actually, you need to expand those things. So this is how Microsoft project diagram, okay. It'll show in terms of week 15, week 6, week 16, and then week 17. Okay. You see, now let's take a look at the chart, whether we do have those chart correctly. I'm not really sure. Okay, so this is an example of the S-curve that we generate based on the value that we get. Okay, so basically, once you input the cost into your Microsoft project, either directly using the cost, the fixed cost, or even the unit rate, then basically you can generate the S-curve. Okay, the value of the cost basically is all in this table. If you do not like this kind of graph, you just can simply copy the values and put into your Excel table and then draw by using different chart. But it is there actually. Okay, unfortunately we cannot go to our the real example that I want to show. Otherwise, we are going to go into comparison between plan versus actual. So the chart that we show here is this is what we call the plan. Meaning to say, we have not gone into the third, the last portion of the Microsoft project, which is basically project tracking. So now what we are doing is just simply to create the project scheduling. Okay, so to create the project scheduling is basically is very easy. Let's go back to this our, where is it, our here. Okay, close. All right. So what we are doing for the past 2 hours here, basically just to create this project scheduling. Okay, the initial scheduling. The initial scheduling where basically you have the project. Let me go back to entry. Because it will take some time. Okay, it's slow here. Okay, entry. All right. So, okay, this is the entry. So what we have been doing for the past 2 hours here, basically just to create a simple scheduling. So the simple scheduling basically start with the task name, list of staff name, and then remember I do organize my project according to the right WBS, and then I input the duration, and then the start date and the finish date of each activity will be auto-generated, and then I input the resource name. I assign the resource into this activity by putting all the necessary data into the resource sheet, and then this is what the attachment to the Gantt chart. Okay, and once we attach all the cost, whatever, then basically you can generate the cost using the report. Okay, what I did just now is basically using the visual report on the cash flow, and then I click on the days and whatnot, and then I click view to generate the S-curve. The S-curve is being generated into Excel, okay, into Excel, not in the Microsoft project itself. Okay, so you can use that thing in comparison. All right. Now, other than that, okay, let's go into project views. Okay, under views, you notice that there are a few menu here. For instance, menu that you can basically, let me click here, filter a group. You can group into, let's say you want to group into critical. unfortunately, we do not have the non-critical activity. But if, for instance, I click on, I cannot use my mouse, that is the issue. If, for instance, I click on a specific activity, a specific thing, such as, let me see, yeah. I cannot use my mouse. If you click, for instance, you can group under critical or whatever. The listing of the activity will be divided into critical and non-critical. That is for the purpose of if you want to zoom in to know whether what are the activity. If your boss asks you, okay, what are the critical activity? Instead of looking at the Gantt chart, which will take some time, you just simply go into this grouping, or you can just simply filter. Okay, filter on what information that you want to look at. Okay, and when you filter, for sure, the listing of your activity will be in the filter mode. So don't be panicked. It might be different from what you are doing. You are just simply in a filtering mode. Okay, so if you want to go back, basically click on no filter. Okay, so that is how you can view on certain thing. And then you notice that in Zoom here, you can zoom the entire project or selected tasks. Let's say you have so many activity, like hundreds of activity that you want to go specifically, instead of trying to move your mouse here and there. So you just simply click on selected tasks. It will go directly into that specific task, or the entire project basically for you to capture the whole of the Gantt chart into whatever window that you have. If you are using a big screen monitor, whatever, for sure you can see many things. But if you are using a small computer, sometimes all the Gantt chart are being spread into a few pages. So you might want to put everything into entire project, but it will be very small anyway. Okay. So Microsoft Project allow you to print a report. Okay, you click on report. If you click on report, you can, because I could not zoom into a particular area here because of the issue of online here. All right, you can click on report, certain report. All right, okay. Now we cannot go further with our hands-on session based on the Excel file that I give you, unfortunately. Maybe if I can do a pre-recorded step-by-step, that will be better. I pre-recorded, so we don't have the issue of clicking. I cannot click into particular things. And then I will put into your e-learning or email to you, so that you can basically follow. If you follow step-by-step, my method step-by-step, for sure at the end of the day you will get the same answer as mine. Okay, because we have tried that thing so many times. Okay, now we are going to end the session in a few minutes. So let me open up the session to question if you have. Anybody have question? All right. So if there is no more question, okay, we will end this session.